This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with winemaker Ann Sperling at Southbrook, and we are looking at her first experiment at Southbrook with orange wine. Tell us a little bit about this wine, Ann.
Well, this is orange wine is white wine made like red in very simple terms. And so what I've done is selected a variety, a white variety that has really great aromatic properties, but also some phenolic properties to give the wine tannin and structure. But I've incorporated a few different things into it to try to reflect the traditional history of this kind of wine. So stems are one thing. We did 40% full clusters, and there's even some of those that are remain at this time after it's essentially dry at this point. We also have berries that were destemmed without crushing, and so you can see there's a lot of whole berries still there. And then the stem component has been part of the fermentation from the get-go. So each of these berries, depending on how it's spent its life in the fermentation, has a slightly different character and flavor, and is contributing a lot of complexity to this wine.
The aromatics coming off this bin are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah,
and it's not peachy or, but it's got some of those kind of stone fruits, and maybe sort of quince, and there's also esters like banana, like green banana. I've been asked, why do an orange wine? There doesn't seem to be a demand for it. It's a bit of a novelty thing right now, but it's an exploration of winemaking, and so it's anything that gives more depth in terms of an understanding of how wine is, or what wine is, I think is a useful thing, and it can be applied to other fermentations or other varieties or other methodologies, just to have that depth.
When do you see this being bottled?
This is an exploration, so I'm not gonna, it's hard to say. The idea is that it'll be exposed to oxygen, so it would be a very stable wine. But I think with all of the tannin components that are there, it's going to need some time to evolve. So after pressing, the plan is to go to neutral barrels and to spend some time on lees in neutral barrels, but I'm expecting that could be more than a year that it would be in barrels. I think one of the things about orange is that it's more of a method than it is and varietally important, except that it's helpful to know what the kind of the qualities of the traditional varieties are. So since we don't grow the same varieties that they do in Georgia or in the northeast of Italy, I'm trying to choose a variety that has similar traits.
What is
so you can see below the cap, that there's still yellow berries, and if you taste the ones that are connected to the stems, they have a different character than the ones that are free, that have been free in the liquid. So the ones that are whole, even now, these have primarily been fermented like carbonic maceration, which is fruity and amylic and produces esters, whereas the ones that were off the stems, they've had a more typical alcoholic fermentation, although they haven't been crushed or mashed, so there's still a lot of fleshiness to these. And then, then of course there's all the liquid part, so that's giving you a really complex fermentation.
So you're
and then there's the extraction from the stems, so that's also putting some more tannin and a different quality of tannin than you would find in the skins.
So you're basically not telling me what the varietals are. That's the whole thing.